Alrighty everybody, this is episode 7 of the gasbike.net build. I believe this is the last video I will show you before we actually can fire the engine up. So, since the last video, last video you saw that I had put the engine on, the oil catch can, and I think that's about as far as I got for the morning. But here is where we are at now. We got the sprocket on. This baby's on there pretty tight. I do kind of want to bring the idler pulley closer to the sprocket, just because we got a little slop in the chain there. It won't take more than half an inch closer to the sprocket in order to tighten that up. But yeah, you can see it goes up to the torque converter right there. I did have to pull out my chain breaker kit for this one. For those of you who don't know how to break a chain, it's really easy, especially if you're just shortening the chain. If you're just shortening, really easy. Now if you're working on something like a motorcycle that has a chain, you'll probably want it to be professionally done. But this one, you should be okay. Because the nice thing is, if I can find the master link, there it is. I don't know if you can see that right there, but there's a little clip on that link right there. And that link, when you pop that little clip right there off, focus, if it will focus, but when you pop that clip off, or pop that clip out of the link, it will release that link, and it takes the chain apart. Or at least it separates it into one long chain as opposed to a continuous circle. So, and then you can use a chain breaker, and I'll throw a link in the description to where I found this one. It was on Amazon. Really inexpensive. It worked pretty dang well for popping a link or two out. But yeah, I'll throw that in the description below, where you can get that. And again, it was relatively inexpensive to do. Relatively easy to do. The kit was inexpensive, actually. I think it was only about 10-15 bucks, but it works well. Anywho, we did get the gas tank on and the gas line all hooked up. No gas in there yet, but I kind of want to get the whole thing put together before I fire it up. So I got the throttle yet to do up on the handlebar. And I have yet to connect it right down here to this engine throttle. I won't need to connect it in order to fire the engine up and actually get the horse a-galloping, because that's the throttle right there. So I'm going to hopefully be able to connect to this little bolt right here and that anchor right there. The cable will be anchored down right there, and the actual wire will go through this nut and be anchored down, and it will tug on that, and it will open the throttle up. I'll tell you a couple things, guys. This is one thing that you want to have your bike first. You want to know what kind of a bike you're dealing with. And just for a frame of reference, let me see if I got a tape measure handy here. Yes, I do. And I'm dropping things. So, just so you know, this, here's how much elbow room I had. There is not a whole lot more room for that engine to fit in there. Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to slide this side up and slide the whole engine forward a little more, actually, in thinking about it, no, you can't. That's about as far up and forward as you can get it. But so when you're looking for your bike, you are probably going to want a 29-inch bike. That's 29-inch wheels. I believe this is actually a 700C bike, but it works. It's a cruiser bike for a taller person, but you're going to want a frame that measures at least, let me get the measurement here, So, see what I'm doing? I'm measuring from the bottom of the bottom bracket to the top of the seat post, and I got about 24 inches there. That I actually thought was not going to work, but then I met up with this guy who sold me this bike and I tried the engine in there, and sure enough, it worked. And then you're going to want to measure from front to back. You're going to want about 24 inches there as well. So the other two measurements aren't exactly completely relevant, but you want if you're looking online, you want a bike that looks like it has about a 3-inch. Whoa, might help if I was focusing on the right thing. Between the sternum and the backbone of the bike, you're going to want at least 3 inches between the two, because that'll tell you for sure that there's going to be enough space. The final thing, before you buy this kit, before you have to have your bike before you buy this kit. That's the reason why I had so much trouble finding the bike for this kit. I did not take the time to get the bike and measure the hub before I purchased this kit. This is a 1-inch hub, and the sprocket clamp there is a 1-inch clamp, and it fits on this bike very nicely. I had to torque it down pretty good, but it holds, and as you can see, the sprocket is mounted on there nicely. But make sure that you have your bike. Ideally, you want to get a set of calipers and set in there and clamp it down on that hub to get your exact reading, how much it is. I believe gasbike.net has 1, 1.5, and 1.8 inch sprocket clamps for sale in their kits. They also just sell the individual sprockets and clamps on there as well, but that was a source of stress for me when I was putting this whole thing together. But it's all together, and I hope within a week or so I will have episode 8 come in your direction, and I will be firing this bad boy up and running it around the house a little bit. So we'll talk to you guys in the next video, and since it's Good Friday, happy Easter. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.